Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about new drugstore makeup. This is my favorite topic to talk about here on YouTube. I love finding them and seeing how they compare to high-end because wherever we could save money, that's always a good thing. So today I have products from the actual drugstore and I also have some new things from Moira Cosmetics. Even though they're not a traditional drugstore brand, they're drugstore priced, so I like to include them in these videos as well. So let's just dive straight into it. I have a new brow pen from L'Oreal. This is called Faux Brow, and I talked about this in my recent buy or buy video. I mentioned that I had ordered this from Ulta and it was on the way. I don't know if it's in stores yet, but I had mentioned this reminds me so much of the Eye Method brow pens, which are so viral on TikTok. I can't go on there without seeing an ad for one, so I'm guessing this is L'Oreal's answer to that product. So instead of having one prong or three, which is what we normally see, this is a two-pronged brow pen. And that is something that I've only seen in the Eye Method brand, which is why I think L'Oreal might be trying to dupe those. Not that Eye Method needs to be duped as far as price goes, because I want to say they're around the same price, but just in terms of, I guess, coming out with a similar product, because I'm sure L'Oreal has seen how viral those are going. So anyway, this is $12.99. It comes in 8 shades. And it claims to create naturally fuller brows. It has a double brush tip that effortlessly mimics brow hairs for a doubled look in one precise stroke. So basically, they're just saying that it's faster to fill in your brows with the 2 prongs instead of just the one. I ended up getting the shade Dark Blonde, which looked pretty cool toned on the website, and I have very cool brows naturally, so I thought that it would be a good match, and I truly think it is. I'm wearing it in the video today, and I'll just show you a little bit of me applying this and explain how I applied it, because there was a little bit of a learning curve for me to use this product. As you all know, I'm using the NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen, which just has the one prong, and I just find it really easy to create those hair-like strokes and get a really natural finish. But using 2 was new to me. I've never really enjoyed the ones that have the 3 prongs because I think they fill in my brows too much. Like, they don't leave any skin in between. When I'm using the NYX Lift and Snatch, I usually just go in from the side and kind of just do these little strokes like that. So that's what I started doing with this one. I kind of came in from above, and I had already previously set my brows with the Rare Beauty brow gel, and I let that dry for about 10 minutes. That's usually what I do. I just brush my brows straight up, wait for it to dry, and then go in with a brow pen. And this method worked pretty well. I did find that I filled in my brows a lot more quickly with this because I didn't have to do each individual hair, but I also felt like I had a little bit less control, which was scary for me because I thought I was going to just completely screw up my brows. So I tried to be as careful as I could with this. And as far as the ink flow goes, I wasn't getting any big globs of ink or anything. I think it came out really smoothly. So there were no issues there. And then when I wanted to kind of fill in along the bottom of my brow, I turned the pen to the side and just used it as if there were only one prong. And I like that you can do that just by turning the pen. So it gives you a couple of different options. For my left brow, it was hard to hold my arm above my head and do it the same way as the right side. So I ended up trying to apply this more from underneath instead of from above. And that actually worked well too. It was a little bit more awkward, but I was able to make it work. So in the end, I thought this actually made my brows look really good. I didn't have as much confidence using this as I did the NYX Lift and Snatch, so I think that's just something that is going to come with time. But for not having the confidence and being worried about this looking terrible, I'm actually very impressed with how my brows look. And also when I was doing swatches earlier, I had drawn this on my hand and it's still there. Like, it is not budging. So I have a feeling this is going to be a very long-lasting brow pen. So anyway, I don't know that I'm necessarily ready to give up my NYX Lift and Snatch because I do love that and it's just really comfortable for me. I'm used to using that, but I am impressed with this and I'm just gonna have to give it more time and use it more regularly, and who knows, I might end up getting more comfortable with this in the end. Anyway, I definitely think this is worth checking out if you want that really fluffy, natural natural brow look. I do think it's kind of the best of both worlds because you can get your brows done faster with the 2 prongs versus the 1, but it doesn't give as heavy of a look as the ones that have the 3 prongs, like the Benefit one, for example. So who knows, this could become my new favorite brow pen. We'll have to see. Next up, I have some brand new eyeshadow palettes from Moira, so I wanted to share those quickly. First is the Celestial Chic palette, and they also sent me Cosmic Desire. So this one is very cool toned. This one is a little bit warmer. I believe they have a couple of other ones as well, but they just sent me these 2. So let's look at Celestial Chic first. I actually was wearing this in my last video, the buy or buy one that I was talking about. And even though this looks very gray overall, a lot of you in the comments were saying that, you know, you love my blue eyeshadow. Some of these grays do lean a little bit blue. So I think that's why it looked that way on camera. I'll just show you a quick clip of that. Plus I was wearing a blue sweater, so maybe that was also kind of making it look more blue too, but it was this palette and I loved that eye look. I loved the way it came out. So I'll quickly show you a close-up of this and some swatches. When I first saw this, I thought right away of Natasha Denona's Xenon palette because it has that very grayscale kind of look, but I do think that this palette leans a little bit more to the blue-gray side than the Natasha Denona. And I also think this one has a little bit more color variety in it. It's just a little bit more wearable for me. And when it came to the swatches, I thought it swatched beautifully. The mattes were really silky and smooth. The shimmer shades are very, very shiny and metallic. I love the shimmers in this palette. I think that's where this really shines. They just go on so shiny and so foiled in one swipe. So I really loved that. Some of the shades do have a little bit of glitter, but mostly these are those rich and shiny metallic shades. So it's a beautiful palette. My biggest complaint when I was using this, and I'm going to show you the look that I have today with the warmer one, is that the matte shades are a little bit sheer. So you'll see that when I go to apply this one. So let's take a look at this one quick. This is the Cosmic Desire palette. And this is a more warm-toned neutral gold palette. And I'm sure a lot of us have all of these shades in our collection already, but I do like palettes like this as well because they're neutral and they're just the ones that I reach for all the time. This one does actually have like a gunmetal gray right in the center of the palette too. So it has that one cool tone shade, and I guess if you count the black as a cool tone or the white as well, but most of this palette is actually more on the warm side. And similar to the cooler toned option I just showed you, I think there is a little bit of repetition in here with some of the golds. They might look very similar on your eyes. And I felt the same way about the gray shades in the Celestial palette. But overall, I was really impressed when I swatched these. So then when I went to actually apply them to my eyes, I'll show you how I got the look today. And when I went to apply these, I did feel like the matte shades were super sheer. And when I did the look the other day with the gray palette, I had a really hard time building up the mattes. I had to keep going back in and applying more and more because every time I blended them on my eyes, they just kind of sheared away. And that's the same vibe I got with this palette, although this time I did put down an eyeshadow primer. I used the MAC Paint Pot, hoping that that would help a little bit, maybe give them some grip. And I think it did help slightly, but I still struggled with the matte shades in this palette. Even when I did use a deeper shade for the outer corner, it looked dark in the pan, but when I went to put it on, it was a little more unimpressive. So it was hard for me to create the depth that I wanted to with this palette. Now, when it comes to the shimmer shades, I think those are beautiful. I think they apply really nicely. They pop enough on their own, but if you want to make them pop more, obviously a glitter glue will definitely help with that, or you can wet them with some setting spray. I did end up grabbing a darker shimmer shade in the palette to pack that in my outer corner just to help add a little bit of depth that I was lacking with the matte shades. So that is an option because the deeper shimmer shades in this palette aren't quite as metallic. They're more of a satiny finish. So I feel like you can kind of get away with using them as a matte, and those just had more pigment. So in the end, would I recommend these? Maybe. It depends, I think, on what you like in a palette. If you're a fan of, let's say, Natasha Denona's formula that is really pigmented, the mattes just show up when you put them on and they don't blend away, then you're not gonna like these. But on the other hand, if you're someone who likes a more sheer eyeshadow look, or maybe you're not comfortable with blending and you just want something that's going to blend really easily but maybe not leave a lot of pigment behind, then I think you might enjoy these. But because I did have to work a little bit harder to get these to show up on my eyes, I don't know how often I would reach for them. I could see myself using my Stone Cold Fox palette from ColourPop more often than this one, and probably the Going Coconuts palette from ColourPop more than this one. I just feel like they were okay. And you guys know how much I love Moira, and I've loved their palettes in the past. I don't know what happened here, if they're using a different formula, something new, but I never have had so much trouble with their eyeshadows showing up before when it comes to the matte shades. So I don't know, maybe they're doing something new. However, Moira also sent over some new shades of their Butter Bliss lip balms, and I really, really love these. These are so good. I talked about them when they first launched, and they sent me some other shades. Now they have some new colors out, and these colors are all so pretty. Most of the ones that they sent are actually cooler tone pinks, which I love. So I'll just quickly show you what they look like and the colors. And when I first tested these out, I compared them to the Summer Fridays lip balms. I do think they're a really close dupe for those. And some of you pointed out that these have the same applicator as the Naturium lip balms, the Phyto Glow ones. So you were thinking maybe they were a dupe for those. But the reason I think that they're more of a Summer Fridays dupe is because the formula is much closer to those. I mean, yes, they're using the Naturium style packaging, but one thing I can say immediately is that these are so much easier to squeeze out of the tube than the Naturium balms, because those are so thick and rich, and these are thinner. So again, think of the Summer Fridays lip balms. They're thin, they're lightweight, but at the same time, they do pack a punch when it comes to hydration. That's what these are like. And similarly, ColourPop just released their Fresh Kiss lip balms. Now these actually have the same applicator as the Summer Fridays. They're identical. So I feel like the ColourPop ones do give you that true experience. But one thing that I'm loving about the Moira is that they come in so many more colors. The ColourPop ones have a pretty limited shade range, and the Moira Butter Bliss, they have a lot of really beautiful cooler tone pinks. There's actually a purple one that I love to wear. So I think these are both great formulas, and I think both could easily compete with the Summer Fridays lip balms because they feel pretty much the same. But I guess another thing I could mention about the ColourPop ones is, again, they're similar to the Summer Fridays because they smell exactly like the name, and that's what Summer Fridays does. So this one is Chocolate Milkshake, for example. It smells like chocolate. Their Cherry Glaze one smells like cherry. When it comes to the Moira, they do have slightly different scents. Some of them are more fruity. I had one that almost smelled a little bit minty, but for me, the scent barely stands out with these. It's super mild, very undetectable, whereas the ColourPop ones, it's like all about the scent. And so I do like both options just for different reasons. So if you're looking for a great dupe or alternative to something like the Summer Fridays balms that's really smooth, non-sticky, nice and glossy on your lips, I think these are amazing. And the colors that they come in are really beautiful as well. I'm showing you here all of the new colors that I got. And like I said before, I'm just loving all of the cool tones. That's what I wear most often. So I think when it comes to the ColourPop ones, they had one or two cool shades, but a lot of them were warmer. So next up, Maybelline released a matte version of their Sun Kisser liquid blushes. And to be honest with you, when these launched, or the shimmery version launched, I think it was last summer, I was not impressed with them at all. I felt like the color range was so blah and boring. It was a lot of like brown and gold and like pinks, but they were almost like muddy pinks. They really lacked that pop of color that I'm usually looking for when it comes to blush, but not so with the matte ones. These are so beautiful. The colors that they come in are absolutely gorgeous. I have 5 of them, but I believe there are more shades than this. I saw them in store at Target, and I honestly could not decide between the colors. So I really wanted to find out how the matte ones compare to the shimmery ones. I never felt like the shimmery ones even were that shimmery or glowy. They had maybe a tiny little hint of something, but for the most part, once you blended them out on your cheeks, they were matte. And I know that the original Sun Kisser blushes got so much hate. It seemed like nobody liked them. I personally didn't think the formula was bad. I just wasn't crazy about the colors. I felt like, again, they were just dull and drab and uninteresting. But I think the formula of these is pretty unique. And the reason why I say that is because these are more on the sheer side. And maybe that's why they were getting so much hate. Every review I saw, people were saying that these are garbage, but at the same time, not everybody wants a liquid blush that's like the Rare Beauty ones or the Juvia's Place or the e.l.f. camo ones. Like those can be very difficult to apply. If you have a light skin tone, if you have fair skin, they can be super intimidating and they don't always look natural. They can look very heavy. And I think the thing that I appreciated about the Sun Kisser liquid blushes is that they were not like that. They're so much easier to control and blend out. So I'll just show you me applying the one that I'm wearing today, which is 31 Hot Pink Summer. This shade looks extremely dark in a swatch and when you look at it in the tube, but on me, once I started blending, I mean, again, I didn't put too much. I just really used like one dot, but as you blend it out, they just melt into your skin. They have this super thin serum-like texture. And I think that's where the difference comes in between something like this and something like the Rare Beauty blushes, which have a thicker, creamier feel. Those are heavier weight. These are like a true serum. So they just sink into your skin and they set down really fast. They don't stay dewy. There's no stickiness to them. And then you can right away go in and just put on another layer if you want and build it up. But I really enjoy how seamless these look. And like I said, I'm so glad that they came out with new colors because I never really used the shimmery ones because I just wasn't drawn to those boring colors. But with these, I can absolutely see myself using all of these colors. I think they're gorgeous. Even the dark purple, like you don't have to be afraid of it. As long as you put just one little dot, it's gonna blend in beautifully. And I want to show you actually this light purple, this like orchid color. It's so pretty, but again, it's going to be a little bit more sheer. So if you like more pigment to show up on your cheeks, I would grab the darker colors. When I put this on, I just put it on my arm. I did a swatch. It shows up really well in a swatch. Then when you go to blend it with a brush, you can see just how much this shears out. And of course you can build it up. I'm just showing you what one layer looks like. And if you're the kind of person that really doesn't like a bold cheek, then I think this is definitely going to be the product for you. But if I compare this to something like the Juvia's Place liquid blush, and you can see these are pretty much almost the same color. This is the shade Blush Lily, and actually it looks almost lighter than the Maybelline one in the tube. But once you start blending it out, the Juvia's Place one has a thicker texture. It's very creamy, while the Maybelline one feels much thinner and almost like a serum. So in the end, the Juvia's Place, even though they're like pretty much the same shade, or maybe the Juvia's is even lighter, it shows up more prominently on your skin once it's blended out. But that's the whole reason why when it came to these Juvia's blushes, I only bought the really, really light shades because the deeper ones are just never going to work on me. Not true with the Maybelline. I can easily use this purple. I can use this bright orange, no problem. I just find these to be much easier to control. So again, I personally would recommend these. I think they're an awesome blush formula, but it's going to heavily depend on what your preferences are. If you like a really bold cheek, if you enjoy formulas like the Rare Beauty and the Juvia's or the e.l.f. ones, then I think you're probably gonna maybe think these fall flat for you. But if you're someone who struggles with these highly pigmented formulas and you just want a liquid blush that's gonna be super easy, that just like melts in and doesn't require a lot of blending, then I think these would be worth checking out, especially in the new shades because they're all really beautiful. Next up, I also got 2 shades of the CoverGirl Yummy Blur Lipsticks. So oh my gosh, I'm in love with these already. I can't even believe I'm saying that about a matte lipstick formula, but wow, these are so impressive. I'm wearing one today. It's the shade Perfectly Blurry. It's just like a beautiful nude pink color. And I also got a cooler tone pink shade called Into the Blur. So these are $11.99. They come in 8 shades, and they claim to be a pillowy soft matte lip color for an instant blurring effect. And they have a moisture-rich, silky smooth formula that gives diffused and blurred lips in one swipe. These actually have a 5-star rating on the Ulta website right now, and I am really having to restrain myself from going back and buying more colors. To be honest, I still might if I find that I'm wearing these a lot, but I have to kind of wait a few weeks maybe and see how often I find myself wearing these. But they are the prettiest lipstick, and I find that this formula has been getting more and more popular. I was just talking about recently the new Versed Smoothing Lip Blush. I did a whole video on the new Versed makeup line. Versed is a skincare brand that's at Target, and it was created by the same owner of Merit Beauty that's at Sephora. So just very easy, effortless type products. Well, their smoothing lip blush is the same kind of formula. It's very blurring and very smoothing, and it's like a lip balm but with a matte finish. So you still have that hydration that a lip balm would give you. Maybe not as much as a super emollient formula, but at least it's not drying. Instead of that dewy, shiny finish, it just looks matte and blurred and smoothed. And as someone with a ton of lines in my lips, I love this. Most of the time, matte lip products can make my lips look more lined and like they're super dry. But with these, they just give that perfect, soft, blurry look that looks like you put on a lipstick and then blotted it with a tissue and kind of took a layer off. It has more of that lived-in look. It's really casual. And that's why I love these so much. And the 2 shades that I got are more of that like your lips but better kind of a color. So when you're wearing these, it's almost like, wait, is she wearing lipstick? Is she not? Like, people can't tell. It could be your natural lips because there's no shine going on. So obviously that would be harder to get away with the darker colors, but those could also have that vibe of like, I just ate a popsicle or something like that. Like, that's what I imagine the deeper colors look like. And when you swatch these too, they look darker in the tube. When they actually come out, they're just a little bit more diffused. They sort of remind me of the Bisou balms from Violette's line. And that's the one thing she always said in her videos is that, you know, they're called the Bisou balms because it's like you've been kissing someone and then you have the top layer of your lipstick that kind of came off and you're just left with this really blurry, smudgy kind of look left behind. And that's how these are, except I think the CoverGirl ones are way more comfortable than the Bisou balms. Those were okay. Like when I first applied it, I was like, okay, it's comfortable enough. But after I wore it for maybe like half an hour, my lips started to feel dry, like the moisture was just being sucked out of them. And I don't get that with the CoverGirl at all. I've been wearing these now for probably like a week, and every time I wear them, they just feel very comfortable. Now, do they add a lot of moisture to your lips? No, they're not really adding anything. But like if you press your lips together, they do have that slightly emollient feel. And there are some ingredients in here that I think are what keeps them so comfortable. They have squalane, they have grapeseed oil, and they have coconut oil as well. So I think just the addition of some of those ingredients is helping to keep these looking and feeling so smooth. So as you can probably tell, I love these. They do have a scent. It's a little bit fruity. It smells like fruity candy. So it's a really nice scent. It's almost reminding me of like maybe a Bubblicious gum or something. It smells good, but it's also very faint. Like once it's on my lips, I don't really smell it at all. There is another similar product like this at the drugstore from Wet n Wild. I just saw this sitting on my counter and it reminded me of it. These are called the Soft Blur Lipsticks. So these are also another very similar product, but again, I like the CoverGirl ones more. I think these are a little stiffer feeling. They're not bad. I just think the CoverGirl have more glide. They feel a little bit silkier than the Wet n Wild ones do. But like I said, this is a similar concept. So if you've been wondering about these, I would say definitely try them. I think you'll like them. I mean, so far, like I said, they have a 5-star review and I personally love them. As far as transfer goes, they transfer a little bit at first. Like there's just a slight little bit that you can see there on my hand, but the majority of the pigment stays behind. And then once it kind of initially transfers a little, it doesn't really do it again. When it comes to longevity, it's hard for me to say because these two colors are so close to my natural lip color that as they're sort of wearing away, it's hard for me to tell like, okay, what's my natural lip color? What's this still left behind? So I really want to get a deeper shade and maybe try that out. But I'm going to say these probably have a pretty average wear time as far as a lip product goes. They don't claim to be a long wearing formula, but I don't think they're going to wear off as quickly as a gloss would either, something that's more slippery. So anyway, I love these, definitely recommend. And that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful, and I would love to hear your thoughts on these products down below. If any of you have tried them, what your thoughts are. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video and be here with me. I truly appreciate it. And if you do have any extra time, I'll put another video right there that you could just click on and it'll go right to that next. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.